The plan sounded so simple: just recreate the hot shots, ITV's best shots for the Tour Championships, as accurately as possible and in the fewest possible attempts. But there was a problem. A lot of these shots are clearly flukes or a bit dull, so I decided to combine them with the best shots from the Turkish Masters and the Gibraltar Open to create some sort of slick sounding mutant super video called the Best Shots from March or something. A small amount of research later and I had 12 world-class shots to recreate, starting with this creative shot from Ronnie O'Sullivan, where he pots the black and develops the red, giving himself the chance to make a century break. Now I've gone to the trouble of finding them, all I've got to do is play the shots. I mean, how hard can that be? It looked like Ronnie played this shot with a small amount of right hand side and backspin. I was really happy to hit the red on my second attempt, and even more happy when I left it on. Shaun Murphy is a difficult shot to get from pink to black to win a frame against Jimmy Robertson at the Turkish Masters. And you can tell it's at the Turkish Masters because the carpet is almost as loud as the one in my living room. It turns out I may have slightly overestimated this shot. The pot isn't anywhere near as difficult as I thought it might be, and you just have to get the right amount of left-hand side and pace with this one. It turned out my table wasn't quite as fast as the ones on TV, but I was still in good enough position to simply roll the black in. Zhang Anders really close to making a 100 break here, but he's just run out of position at a critical time.
What a shot. How about that, Dave? Fantastic.
Even though this is just a good pot and Zhang wasn't giving much thought to the position the cue ball ended up in, it's still a lot more difficult than the previous shot from Shaun Murphy because of how accurate you need to be with the speed the shot is played at. The pockets of a snooker table are really tight down the cushions and it's really difficult to squeeze the red in when it's going at this speed. I thought I was going to be here a while, so I was really pleased to get the pot in just 9 attempts. And this could be a contender for the win. Ding Junhui is next, playing a snooker escape that I like the look of. There was a lot of good snooker escapes from these tournaments, but this one from Ding looked great and went exactly how he played it. Initially I thought it needed a small amount of right hand side, and that's why I was so far out with my first attempt, ending up hitting the black. I quickly realised not only was this a plain ball shot, but you had to get incredibly close to the blue if you wanted to get near the reds. I was pretty happy to get this after 3 attempts because there was a lot that could go wrong here. Xi Junhui is back, playing this excellent positional shot before going on to win the frame. I'm not sure if it means he'll become a future champion, but he keeps showing up on these videos playing impressive shots. I looked at where Xi struck the cue ball and tried to replicate it, and I ended up cannoning the red first go. Unfortunately, I didn't knock it on towards a pocket. This is an impressive shot because he also went on to win the frame at this visit. It's probably going to be a contender for the win, and I was really happy to get it after just 3 attempts. We've got another shot from Ronnie O'Sullivan that's an impossible looking plant. There's real distance between the reds here at the Tour Championships, but Ronnie manages to make the angle and screw the cue ball back into bulk. One of the most impressive shots so far, but it might be marked down a fraction because it was played as a defensive shot. However, I was ecstatic to get it first time because it's one of the hardest shots I'll have to play, and the crowd seemed to love it as well. Judd Trump was back to winning ways at the Turkish Masters along with his trademark positional shots. There were a lot of good exhibition shots in this break, but the pink was definitely the standout shot. We've seen this shot a few times from Judd now, where he bashes the pink in the middle pocket and knocks the cue ball around 6 cushions for the black. This may be marked down in the end because he doesn't really get in position and ends up missing the black. But this is still a really tough shot because of the speed it's played at. With this angle from the middle pocket, it's not guaranteed to go in even if you get it on target. Everything was happening. I was even starting to get the line right. I just couldn't quite hit it hard enough. And I'm not sure what happened on my 5th attempt, but I just seemed to make it move around the table faster than I expected. And I was pretty happy with the result.
Zhaozing Tong's next, showing off his cue power on the yellow and managing to get in position from a really awkward location.
This shot certainly looked good, but I wasn't sure exactly how difficult it was going to be until I realised how close the cue ball was going to be to the yellow, which made it really difficult to screw back far enough. And then of course there's the pot, and I don't have anything like Zhao's laser straight cue action, so this was going to be a bit difficult to get everything right together, as I just couldn't quite seem to get the cue ball back far enough. On my 5th attempt I hit it a lot better, but the cue ball was still a long way short. I needed to hit through the ball without jumping out the way so quickly, which I managed to do on my 6th attempt and get fairly good on the red. This one will be marked down a bit because Zhao actually missed the next red.
Neil Robertson needs to open up the pack of reds, but unfortunately he's finished a little bit straight on them.
So he powers it off the side cushion and into the reds, opening up just enough to finish in position. I thought being this close to the cue ball was going to make it incredibly difficult to get enough speed to open up the reds, but it actually made it a lot easier. And even though I didn't hit them perfectly, I still ended up in position.
We've got a Sean Murphy shot coming up next after we find Mateo, who's in Piatra Neamț in Romania, which is there.
Even though it may not look as visually pretty, it's definitely better than the previous Sean Murphy shot we looked at. He manages to pot a relatively awkward red here and release the other one from the side cushion, knocking it over the middle pocket into play, and from here he was able to make the clearance and win the frame. I was hoping this was going to be a natural angle, but the white came a little bit too far down the cushion, so I had to play it with a tiny trace of left hand side. I may have set this up wrong because it's more likely Sean just had a natural angle shot, which does mark it down a little bit, but it's still really creative. The question is it even more creative than the Ronnie O'Sullivan shot from earlier?
Ronnie O'Sullivan created a chance to make a 100 break, and that earns him 4 creative caps, whereas Sean Murphy created a chance to win the frame, which earns him 5 creative caps, and he's this week's winner. Mark Williams is next in the Tour Championships, and he's got this pressure shot against Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Behind in the frame and the match, Mark needed to get this pot to stay in contention, and not only did he get it, he managed to finish on the pink and eventually win the frame. There's not much to say about this one other than it's a really good pot under pressure. You do need to cannon one of the 2 reds on the right hand side of the table, but this isn't too difficult and should more or less guarantee you finish on the pink. I'd have liked to got this a little bit quicker than 3 attempts, but it's fairly good.
Mark Allen is up next after we find $9 million from Lombard, Illinois, which I can just about get in there.
It's really irritating when this type of shot comes up in a match, because if you didn't have to bridge over the green here, it would be a relatively comfortable pot. But bridging over a ball makes it so much harder, especially from distance like this, because you can't really see the object ball when you're striking down over the green so much. Again, this will gain points because the fact that Mark got this shot allowed him to go on and win the frame. I was really happy to get this in just 2 attempts because I thought it would take me a lot longer.
So for the results, 3rd place goes to Zhang Anda with this impressive pot that allowed him to make a 100 break at the Gibraltar Open. 2nd place goes to Ronnie O'Sullivan with this excellent plant. This probably would have done better, but it wasn't really going anywhere. But the winner is Wee with this excellent positional shot from the Turkish Masters, which he followed with a clearance. And thinking about it, he should have probably won the creative shot challenge from earlier.
There are a lot of decent shots played in all three of these tournaments, but the problem is there's very few people putting a lot of time and effort into compilation videos at the moment, so it's very difficult for me to find shots like this from Ronnie when they don't appear in something like the hot shots. If there's anyone out there putting these videos together, let me know, because I'll probably end up playing half the shots. And if you want to see me recreate shots from previous tournaments, then have a look at these two videos. And remember, don't just watch play, and make the commitment to becoming a better player by subscribing to the channel and visit the website. See you later.